Throughout NBA history, we've seen plenty of talented players represent all 30 teams in the league. Franchises such as the Celtics and Lakers have accumulated many of the world's greatest over time, while other teams have yet to get so lucky. So today, in order to find out which one of these organizations are truly the greatest, we're going to replace all current NBA rosters with their all-time variant to see who can come out on top and win the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And yeah, before I go over some of the rosters here at the team select menu, just based off the logos alone, you could probably tell that the league is a little bit different. But also, when I was adding the all-time versions of these teams, I noticed that they were really inaccurate. For example, my Clippers, I'm not sure why, but they didn't have Paul George on the team. So I actually had to go through and add a lot of different players so it will be accurate, which because I'm trash at that sort of thing, I probably forgot a couple of people. And that's what I want to go over before we simulate to the All-Star break. The Sixers are here with an up-to-date Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey wasn't even on the team, or his overall wasn't even close to being right. As for Paul George, since this isn't 2K25, they didn't really have a reason to put him on the roster, so I can't really blame 2K for that one. I know for a fact the Spurs didn't have Wemby on it, which is definitely a shame. I actually went ahead and added players such as Charles Barkley and Reggie Miller as well, since they aren't technically in the game. But yeah, feel free to let me know if you think I missed anybody. Also, while you're down there, you should definitely consider subscribing since we're trying to hit 10K. On top in the East at the All-Star break, it's the Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers, and New York Knicks. So I feel like no one's really surprised that Boston's number one. So far, their season record is 48 wins and 8 losses, which with all the talent in the league as of right now, that is, you know, really good. Now, having a look at their starting five, we have Bob Cousy, John Havlicek, Larry Bird, Jason Tatum, and Bill Russell. To nobody's surprise, their entire team is just stacked. They got Paul Pierce, JoJo White, Robert Parrish coming off the bench. I know for a fact I put Jaylen Brown on this team as well. He's not the lowest overall on the team. That would actually be Ray Allen. But yeah, the Philadelphia 76ers, we already talked about them previously. Now the Knicks, these guys actually didn't have Jalen Brunson, so I made sure I placed him on the team before I simulated. But yeah, they also have Carmelo Anthony, Patrick Ewing. On a real note, I wasn't going to be surprised if these guys made the playoffs, but I was definitely not expecting them to currently be the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. At 4th and 5th, we have 2 of LeBron James' former teams. Out in front, it's Cleveland. Now these guys have a crazy starting 5 if I'm going to be honest, but Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Brad Daugherty. I'm pretty sure I just butchered that guy's name. That's my bad. Their bench lineup doesn't really seem like it's going to hold up as well as some of the other teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see them fall, but they are doing pretty good so far. Miami actually has Jimmy Butler, who's sitting at a 96 overall coming off the bench, which is kind of surprising because he carried 2 different teams to the finals. Kind of hard to place him anywhere in the starting 5. I guess you can move LeBron to power forward and place Jimmy at the 3. It looks like Michael Jordan's all-time Bulls doesn't seem to be working as well as what a lot of people probably thought it would. But you know what? As always, we have to see who's sitting in 15th place. With 17 wins and 36 losses, we have the all-time Charlotte Hornets. Alonzo Mourning, Glenn Rice, and Kemba Walker are usually acquainted the title of the Hornets best player. And don't get me wrong, as good as those guys are, they're just not really on the same level as like a LeBron, Kobe, or Mike. Still definitely Hall of Famers, but these guys needed a little bit more of a push to make it anywhere near the playoffs. Down here, surprisingly as well, we also have the Milwaukee Bucks, which is definitely a shame because not only did I fix Giannis's rating, but I also brought Damian Lillard in as well. Now, having a look at the Western Conference, it's the Golden State Warriors, Houston Rockets, and Los Angeles Lakers. As of right now, we have all these different teams with 30+ wins, but I am kind of surprised that the Lakers aren't on top in their conference. For whatever reason, Shaquille O'Neal isn't this team's starting center. He's still on the team, obviously, as a 97 overall. I just noticed Elgin Baylor isn't here as well. They have James Worthy, and LeBron's playing the power forward spot. I don't really know what's going on with these guys. Their starting 5, for me at least, feels kind of messed up. Maybe they wanted AD for the extra spacing, but if that was the case, why bring in James Worthy? Because I'm pretty sure Elgin Baylor can hit more threes than him. You know what? I have no idea. They'll just have to figure things out on their own. The Houston Rockets, they're also being weird because Hakeem isn't even in the starting 5. I'm sure if he continues to play as the 6th man, he's going to end up winning that award. But Tracy McGrady's here as well. I almost forgot that he was even on the team. Same thing can be said for Clyde Drexler. I do remember having to add Russell Westbrook, Alpernan Sengun, and Jalen Green. For whatever reason, I think 2K forgot Russ was even playing for these guys at one point. And 4th, 5th, and 6th, we have the Spurs, Nuggets, and Clippers. OKC OKC is kind of a funny story. In this simulation, they do add Shea. Obviously, they had Russ and KD, but do remember that these guys also included Supersonics players like Sean Kemp. But let's see who's sitting at 15th place. We actually have the New Orleans Pelicans. This is kind of weird, to be honest, because I have Chris Paul, Zion, and AD. Boogie Cousins is here as well, and I also added DeJounte Murray, but not too far ahead of them is the Memphis Grizzlies. At the end of the regular season, Larry Bird does win MVP. Victor Wembanyama, of course, is Rookie of the Year. Nate Archibald is Sixth Man, and Scottie Pippen wins DPOY. Looking at All-NBA First Team, obviously we have Larry Bird. LeBron James is here, but Oscar Robertson, LeBron James, and Penny Hardaway. Giannis Antetokounmpo is leading All-NBA Second Team with Bob Pettit, Dwayne Wade, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bob McAdoo. Last but not least, but All-NBA Third Team, it's T-Mac, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, John Morant, Dirk Nowitzki, and Kevin Garnett of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Normally, I simulate through the play-in tournament, but I actually want to see if we have a close game, because if we do, I'll end up actually jumping in. The Nuggets and Jazz, this one does seem to be really tight. With 21 seconds remaining, the game is tied in Denver. All right, the Nuggets do have possession. They give it over to Jokic, who kicks it back out to Carmelo Anthony. I'm suspecting a pick and roll with both the Joker and one of the greatest scorers of all time. Yeah, the clock is winding down. They need to make a decision, and here comes the screen by Jokic. He drives over, he pulls up for a three, and he ends up hitting the shot with 2.9 seconds remaining. I don't know what it is about Utah Jazz teams, but they just cannot escape game-winning buzzer beaters. Inbounding the ball is Mark Eaton, handing it over to Pete Maravich. He has to shoot a three-point shot, and it rolls in and out. Just like that, the Denver Nuggets are going to be placed as the 7th seed in the playoffs. Down here with the 9th and 10th seed, it looks like the Clippers are going to defeat Minnesota to get the win. Paul George actually led his team in scoring with 19 points, 2 rebounds, and 4 assists. As of right now, it's Cleveland versus Atlanta. These are two all-time great teams, so I mean, it's really anybody's ball game at this point. As you would expect, Cleveland is going to move on. Now with Indiana and Milwaukee, I could have sworn the Bucks had nearly no chance of making the play-in tournament. Didn't really matter anyway, as the Pacers won by like 40 points. Paul George yet again led his team in scoring, this time with 33 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. But now it's Utah versus the Clippers, and hopefully my Clips can eliminate you-know-who. Just like that, the Utah Jazz are no longer in playoff contention, and you can't say the same thing about Atlanta, as they are going to get the dub against Indy, despite Paul George having a great game with 22 points, and Tyrese Halliburton with 23 and 16. Neither of them can manage to push Indiana to the playoffs. But our very first match of the official postseason, it's the New York Knicks versus the Chicago Bulls. I typically have this rule in simulation where you don't really want to bet against Carmelo Anthony, and you also don't want to bet against Michael Jordan, because for whatever reason, I mean, I can understand why MJ's so good, but both of them usually end up defying the odds and making a deep postseason run. Now in game number 1, it seems like we do have a close one, but eventually the Chicago Bulls are going to get it done. Derrick Rose had 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. Now up next with the Miami Heat and Detroit Pistons. I would have been shocked if Miami lost this game, but they actually got the win. LeBron James had 21, 7, and 11. Chauncey Billups and Grant Hill both led their team in scoring with 16. Over in the Western Conference, we have the Houston Rockets and OKC Thunder. Leading the series so far is the Rockets, and here we have another Texas team looking to get a win. The San Antonio Spurs do have home court advantage, and to start things off, it looks like they are no match for Sacramento. Now we have the 2-seeded Philadelphia 76ers going up against the all-time Cleveland Cavaliers. Pulling away with the win is Cleveland. To get it done, LeBron had 25 points, 2 rebounds, and 11 assists. Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving were right there beside him, as always, with 20 apiece. Going through a little bit of a speed run, Atlanta actually manages to upset the MVP. The Dubs get the win over Denver with Kevin Durant's 40-point performance. In the Battle of LA, the Lakers are going to get it done. And yeah, since we've had a sneak peek into every single series in round number 1, I'm going to go ahead and simulate a little bit further. As of right now, we have 6 total teams sitting up 2 games to 1, while the Miami Heat and Golden State Warriors are both up 3-0. And just like that, the Detroit Pistons have been eliminated. Not too far after is the Cleveland Cavaliers, Atlanta Hawks, Denver Nuggets, and all-time Clippers. So yeah, I don't think we're going to have a game 7. New York was also just eliminated, but let me go ahead and simulate throughout this game. OKC is no longer in position to win a championship. And well, just like that, we have our very first game 7 matchup. All right, as Kawhi Leonard's biggest fan, I need him to clutch up and get the win for San Antonio. Antonio. So far, it seems like that's going to be the case as the all-time Kings have been eliminated. Well, I can't really say they got the dub because of Kawhi. It was actually Tim Duncan with 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. But just like that, our second round matchups are officially set. With the Rockets and Warriors, the win is going to go to Houston. With the all-time Bulls and Sixers, Allen Iverson is going to lead the charge and get the victory. The same thing cannot be said for the San Antonio Spurs as they do lose game number 1 to the Lakers. But yeah, now for Boston and Miami. This is one of many rivalries that we have going on. Boston couldn't win game number 1 against Atlanta, but they do it this time against the Heat. Now, as of right now, every single series is competitive but Boston versus Miami, but it looks like they could not get the gentleman sweep as the Lakers, Golden State, and Chicago are all leading their respective series. And yeah, let's see if any of these teams can move on. The Houston Rockets have been eliminated, quickly followed by the San Antonio Spurs, and unfortunately the all-time Miami Heat are going to come short. Yet again, we have another game 7, this time with the Sixers and Bulls. Hopefully we can actually jump in and see some more gameplay. And yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that because I'm pretty sure I jinxed us. To get the dub, Moses Malone had 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 1 assist. And just like that, our conference finals matchups are officially set. I'm actually going to go through these games probably one at a time. I haven't really let you guys know who I think is going to win each series. This time around, I'm thinking that Philly is going to get things done. And well, it looks like I was wrong again because Philadelphia didn't show up. The MVP of the league, Larry Bird, had 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. Over in the Western Conference, we have another 1 and 2 seed matched up together. The talent is so good in LA. Their starting 5 is different every single time I look at it. But the key matchups to keep in mind this series is Stephen Curry versus Jerry West, Kobe Bryant versus Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant versus Elgin Baylor. Also, I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of Wilt Chamberlain versus Shaquille O'Neal. The Lakers put up 151 points to get the win. And just looking at the scoring output from LA, Elgin Baylor had 25, LeBron had 21, there was Kobe with another 21, James Worthy had 21. A lot of people had 21 for some reason. And yeah, if you can't stop this many people on the offensive side of things, you're probably more likely to lose that game. Wilt had 32 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. I like to see Stephen Curry shoot the ball more often. He only had 9 3-pointers attempted, which I guess is a lot, but you know, he's Steph Curry. Back here in Boston, Philly is going to tie the series. Now, hopefully we can have the same result as the East. And yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. In overtime with 22.1 seconds remaining, Philadelphia is up by only 1 point. Anyway, here's JoJo White with the basketball. I feel like you probably have to go with the MVP on this one. As of right now, Larry Bird's just sitting in the corner doing nothing. Here comes a screen from John Havlicek. He needs to get the ball off to someone. He's just going to shoot the 3 and it rolls in and out. That was very, very anticlimactic. This game was taking place in the Bay, and Kobe Bryant led his team to victory with 24 points, 3 rebounds, and 9 assists. Now, I'm really hoping Philadelphia can get a 3-1 series lead. It's not going to be the easiest job in the world just because this is the all-time Celtics. There's 14 seconds left. Allen Iverson does have possession. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's calling ISO. Here he is sizing up whoever the heck this is. I forgot his name. He needs to take a contested jumper, but he puts it up and it rolls in and out. But in overtime, Philadelphia does manage to finish with the lead. The Lakers are just completely dog walking the Warriors. I feel like hardly any of these games have been close. And speaking of games not being close, Boston just blew the Sixers out the water. I was assuming the Lakers were gonna lay these guys to bed, but Rick Barry, Klay Thompson, Nate Thurmond, Wilt Chamberlain, they were just not having it tonight as they were some of the primary scorers for their team. Okay, in Philadelphia, the Sixers are up by 3 points and do have possession. Allen Iverson's being sent to the free throw line to close the game. Doing this would result in another finals appearance. And all right, give me a free throw counter in the top left. It looks like the very first shot is good. If he were to somehow miss this, the only thing that can save Boston is a 4-point play, which isn't likely with the time limit, but you never know. All right, to close the series, he puts up the free throw and it bounces in and out. Bill Russell gets the rebound. Bob Cousy has to shoot a full court shot, and yeah, he didn't make it. So the Boston Celtics have officially been eliminated. Well, unfortunately, we won't be seeing another game 7 as the Golden State Warriors won't be seeing another finals appearance. Kobe Bryant is your Western Conference Finals MVP and Billy Cunningham wins it in the East. In the finals, I mean, Philly versus LA, this sounds like it's going to be a great matchup. Allen Iverson versus Magic Johnson, that sounds like a matchup nightmare for the Sixers just because, you know, the height difference and all that. But it seems like LA has almost conducted the perfect starting lineup. Well, I guess guess you could keep Elgin Baylor, but I would swap him out for LeBron James. Other than that, in my opinion, everything seems to be in order. Having Shaq and AD as your front court, they're going to have stuff on lockdown as they both are great defensive players. So let's see it. Who's going to take away game number 1? Honestly, I have no idea who I would bet on. Purple and gold would definitely be the safest option, but their first time meeting, it actually goes to Philadelphia. Allen Iverson led his team in scoring with 27, 2, and 5. Losing the first game doesn't really mean a lot in the grand scheme of things, so maybe they'll bounce back. It seems like they have a pretty good shot at it, but yeah, the Sixers just ran away with it yet again. At this point, it's pretty much sudden death. No one's ever returned from no man's land being down 3-0, so you definitely don't want to end up in that spot. Luckily, they didn't, as they scored 121 points. Now their main goal is to just tie the series. 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 assists from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar does help the Lakers get the win. Just like that, the series is officially tied, and oh my goodness, they just won 3 games in a row. Since they do have home court advantage, the Lakers can end the series right here, right now. As Magic Johnson dribbles the clock out, Los Angeles is up by 22 points. But yeah, just like that, the Lakers are your brand new NBA champions. I can't really say that this was too surprising because a lot of people think that they have the greatest organization in NBA history. But hey, it was still definitely a fun ride to go through, and it looks like Magic Johnson is your finals MVP. If you want to see more like this, be sure to check out my most recent video where we reset the NBA but only featured legends in their prime. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. I'm out.